And this is the KBD mirror dashcam. This dashcam features both a front and a rear camera, but also it mounts directly to the windshield as opposed to other mirror dashcams that use traditional mounting straps, and that provides for a clean OEM look. It is also the first direct mount mirror dashcam that we've seen with Wi-Fi and app support, and it also features automatic brightness adjustment. And on this video, I'm gonna show you what you get inside of the kit and also the features of this dashcam, as well as driving video both at day and at night to see how well it actually performs. And as always, I'd like to remind you that I place a link in the description down below to the KBD mirror dashcam in case you wanna check it out further. And here's what the rear camera looks like, featuring a metal body, and it is also waterproof, so it could be mounted inside of the vehicle or outside of the vehicle. Double-sided tape right here can peel that back and I can attach it to the car. Then the bracket does allow for adjusting the viewing angle. Additionally, if I place the bracket all the way in this orientation, now I can mount it against a vertical surface, such as the rear window on a pickup truck. And if mounting the camera on the outside of the vehicle, they have included this bracket that gets attached with those two screws right there. Double-sided tape, again, that gets placed right here. I can peel this back and then I can attach it to the vehicle. The bracket again supports adjusting the viewing angle. And here's what the rear camera extension looks like. Now it does support the optional trigger wire, which can enable parking assist, what most people know as reverse guidelines, which I'll show you in a little bit. And for power, they have included this automotive adapter, which does have two additional USB ports on the back. That way you can power your dash cam and something else. And as you can see, we are shown the rear of the vehicle and that we are recording as indicated by that red dot. And there is also another indicator right here, and there is a power button in the center. Now tapping that button turns off the display, but the dashcam continues to record. And as you can see, this kind of behaves like a regular mirror in case you did not want to use it as an LCD mirror. Tapping the button brings up the screen again. Also, what's really interesting is that this is not really a touchscreen, and that has some advantages. You actually tap on the frame itself. Sometimes when you have a touchscreen, tapping on it constantly is going to leave it kind of greasy and kind of messy. So this is an interesting choice to make the frame sensitive as opposed to the screen. Now noticing here, the center button allows us to switch between the front view and the rear view. This button right here is going to allow the camera to go lower and all the way down, or if I keep tapping it, to go higher. And the same thing for the front. I can adjust that view, and this is primarily just to see what the camera is looking at. The entire image is being recorded regardless of where you leave this view, and regardless of whether you're looking at the front or the rear, you're gonna have video recorded for both cameras. And I'm gonna go ahead and tap on that frame one more time. There is a pause button right here, and this all it does is just stops the recording. Tapping that one more time resumes recording. But let's take a look at the other icon, and that is this guy right here that looks like a lock. Tapping that is going to flag and preserve the section of the video that is being recorded as important. And notice that the indicator changed from red to green, letting us know that the video has been flagged and locked. Now, one really nice thing about this mirror is that sometimes you see all these indicators on LCD dash cams and they stay on all the time. On this mirror, those indicators disappear, so you are left with a very clean view of the road. And whenever you tap on the frame again, you can see those indicators again, indicating also the time and date. But let's try out the parking assist function. I'm gonna put the vehicle in reverse. And as you can see, we get reverse guidelines, and the view almost kind of zoomed out a little, and that is to give us a more wider view, especially of this area, so we don't hit the sidewalk. And when I pull the car out of reverse, you can see that it returns back to the prior view. What's also pretty interesting is that tapping and holding this icon down is gonna take a picture. Now, there is no indicator that you have taken a picture. I wish there was one, but it did take a picture. And I'll show you where the pictures are located at, and it's also where the playback of videos is done. And that is done by stopping the current recording and tapping on the playback icon. And as you can see, the pictures are gonna be located here. You got pictures for the front camera and pictures for the rear camera. You also have additional folders, and I'll go to the main folder all the way to the top. This is for front video, this is for rear video, Then you got this folder, which is front video that has been flagged as important and rear video that has been flagged as important. But let's play back a video. I'm gonna go ahead and find the folder that I want, tap select, and then I can use the arrows to select the video that I want. Then I can tap OK, and the video is gonna begin to play back. Tapping this is gonna pause the video, but also you have this lock icon that allows you to, again, flag and protect this video if this is of importance to you and you want to keep that forever. Now you can also delete videos from this playback menu by tapping and holding the OK button down. Then it's going to ask you if you really want to delete that video. Then you can select yes, hit OK, and it will get rid of that. But now let's take a look at the settings menu, and that is done by stopping the current recording and tapping that gear icon. And the first setting is going to be video resolution, and here we get two choices: full high definition, or we can lower that to standard high definition in case we wanted to fit more onto the memory card. What's also interesting is this night mode feature, and the instruction manual describes this as improving the video quality at night. And I actually have experimented with this setting and I honestly cannot tell the difference. However, I would recommend that you experiment with that as well to see if that is something you're gonna wanna leave on or off. Also, the parking assist line, those reverse guidelines, you could turn them off if you don't want to. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn them off and I'll show you what it looks like. I'm gonna put the vehicle on reverse. And as you can see, the view gets wider, maximized for reverse view, but without the reverse guidelines. Moving over to the next page of settings, you can select whether you want audio to be recorded or not recorded, and that is in case you wanted to have a top secret conversation. And the front camera video can also be adjusted. If you find that the video image is too dark, you can increase the brightness of it, and if you find that the image is too bright, you can decrease that brightness of that video. Now the next two options are related to parking monitoring, and here if the dashcam is hardwired, you can enable time-lapse. Now notice that the time-lapse can be adjusted from 1 frame per second to 4 frames per second. 1 frame per second is gonna give you a time-lapse that is gonna capture a lot of hours of video into a time-lapse. 4 frames per second is gonna take more space on the memory card, but the time-lapse is gonna look smoother. I personally will use the 4 frames per second if you decide to run this in time-lapse mode for parking monitoring. Now, park recording time allows you to adjust how long you want that time-lapse during parking monitoring to work for, and you can run it for a maximum of up to 24 hours. Moving over to the next page of settings, you got protect level. Now, this is the G sensor of the dashcam that can allow it to attempt to detect when you get into a vehicle accident because it's gonna feel the impact, and here you can select how sensitive you want the dashcam to feel the impact: low sensitivity, medium sensitivity, or high sensitivity, or you could turn this off. I personally don't recommend that you turn this function off. I would recommend that you select from high, medium, or low if you want to take advantage of the G sensor feature. And the next option is gonna be parking monitoring, which again is only available if the dashcam is hardwired. Now for parking monitoring, we know we have the option of time lapse, but also if we want impact detection, you're gonna wanna turn this on. That way if somebody impacts the vehicle when it is parked, the dashcam is gonna be triggered and a record of that incident will be made. Moving over to LCD power save, the dashcam LCD panel, this screen right here, can turn off after a certain period of time, and you can select on here for it to turn off after 1 minute or after 3 minutes, and the dashcam is gonna continue to record in the background. Now, if you want the screen to stay on all the time, you wanna select off. And the next option is language, and there is actually quite a bit of languages options included in case you wanted to change it from the default one. Moving over to the next page, we get volume adjustment. And the next one, screen refresh rate, is important because you do want to select 60 Hz if you are in the United States or 50 Hz if you are in Europe. And what this does is it's going to reduce any kind of flickering that you may see on the video recorded. The clock settings are adjusted right here. You will tap on here and then you can make that adjustment. Now, unfortunately, the time can only be shown on the 24-hour format. Currently, there is no way to set this to AM, PM format. And to turn the Wi-Fi on, that is done right here, and we're gonna go ahead and turn this on. That way I can show you what the app looks like, but I also want to show you on the last section of options. Here's where you can format your memory card in case you wanted to delete everything that's on there. And it is also recommended to use this function every time a brand new memory card has been installed. You can also restore the dashcam to its defaults and see the current firmware version. Now let's take a look at the app. And the app is called Vidor, and it is available for Apple and Android devices and connects to the dashcam using Wi-Fi and shows us a live view coming from it. Now tapping on here is going to give you a larger view. However, unfortunately, there is no way to see the rear camera, only the front camera on this live format. There's also this pause icon that normally would be used to stop the current recording. However, I have not been able to get this function to work. Not a big deal in my opinion, because I never really control my dashcam as far as recording or not recording using the app, but something to be aware of. There is also this icon that looks like a camera, and that allows us to take a picture. Let's also take a look at playing back the videos, and that is done with this folder right here, and that is going to bring up the files that are on the dashcam. Now, while we wait for those things to load, I do want to show you that they are sorted out into different folders. You got the standard normal video, potentially us just driving around, any pictures that we might have taken on their snapshot, and under log, here's where you may have important videos or videos that were flagged as important either by the dashcam or by yourself, and also any videos that might have been recorded during parking monitoring. But let's go ahead and play back a video. I'm going to go ahead and tap on one of them, and it begins to stream from the dashcam. Now also notice that you do have that same icon again in case you wanted to maximize the view and see this on a larger view. And if you wanted to have a copy of this video onto your phone, that's where you can use the download option. You could also choose to take a still picture of that video, or you can choose to delete that video with the delete icon. And if you wanted to modify several videos at the same time, you have the select option, and here you can select multiple videos either to download them or to delete them. And to access the dashcam settings, that is done with the gear icon. Now, what's interesting about the settings is that there are some on the app that are not on the dashcam itself, such as this photo resolution, in case you wanted to change that. But what's interesting is that some of the options that we get on the app that are not on the dashcam, such as this wide dynamic range or the delay off time, they don't really do anything. Now, I partially think that the reason for that is that Vidor is kind of a generic app used by multiple dashcams, not just this dashcam. For example, this boot voice right here normally will be the sound that the dashcam makes when it turns on or off. Here's another one where I played with the setting, left it on or off, and it seems to have no effect at all. But the other options do appear to work, such as adjusting the G sensor, or if you wanted to change the video resolution. But now that we've seen the features of the app, let's take a look at some driving video, both at day and at night, including the audio test, to see how well this dashcam actually performs. And this is an audio test of the KBD mirror dashcam, and I am sitting on the driver's side seat. And this is an audio test of the KBD mirror dashcam, and I'm standing outside the driver's side door. And as far as video storage, this features a hidden memory card compartment, and I wish more dashcams would do this because it protects the memory card from anybody who doesn't really know where to find it that easily, but also it keeps it nice and OEM looking by having it fully covered up. And as far as mounting, as you saw, this mounts on a standard mounting tab, which is the most commonly found tab on most windshields out there, but there are some specialty mounting tabs on certain vehicles, and they have included 3 different adapters that can convert those specialty mounting tabs to the tab that would allow this to mount on the windshield. Now, additionally, they have also included a standard mounting tab if you wanted your installer to remove that specialty tab and replace it with the standard tab, allowing the installation of this mirror directly to the windshield without any adapters. Also pretty neat, we get this string cover that can cover the cables going up to the headliner of the vehicle, again to achieve that clean OEM look. And as far as Wi-Fi support, again, this is the first time we've seen a mirror dashcam with a direct mount style that supports an app, so it's pretty neat to see that we're moving in the right direction. That being said, the app that is used by this dashcam is called Vidor, and previously it was using a different app called Roadcam. Both of those apps are somewhat generic apps that are used by multiple dashcams, and while Vidor does seem to work somewhat well, as you saw on the demonstration, it does have a couple bugs, again, as you saw during the video, and I'm not sure how much more can KBD improve as far as the app, because the app is really controlled by Vidor, it's not controlled by KBD. So it would be great to see if KBD can develop their own app, that way they have full control over the stability of that connection and also be able to work out any bugs on the app. Now, I also do like that on the menu we get the ability to adjust the exposure of the camera. This is not a common feature to see on mirror dashcams. In fact, not even on regular dashcams. You don't see that feature very often. However, I would like to see further control of the exposure, because we get exposure control for the front camera, but we don't get exposure control for the rear camera. And the front camera, I found the exposure to be balanced. But for the rear camera, I would like to tweak the exposure a little bit. So it will be great if we can get some kind of firmware update when they can add that capability in the future. So remember, I placed a link in the description down below to this mirror dashcam in case you want to check it out further. And if you guys have any other questions regarding this, please put that in the comments down below. If you found any part of this video helpful, make sure you hit the like button to support the channel, and stay tuned as I have a lot more dashcam reviews coming up. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.